What's going on, everyone? Badger here. Should have like and sub, and let's get into this. For me personally, as a YouTuber, full timer, one of the only negatives is the fact that, well, I miss some of the videos I actually want to watch and would have watched immediately if I wasn't busy covering the melting down of legacy journalists or the sweet baby ink harassment campaigns, blah, blah, blah. And at least now on this day when I'm recording, I get to catch up on some of the things I would like to be doing instead. And that's watching Critical Drinker. And if you've never watched Critical Drinker, and some of you know who you are, maybe take the chance and come along with me and let's watch Critical Drinker review Damsel. Or Damsel, however, Damsel. I've never pronounced the M. I've always said it with an N. So the Damsel in Distress movie with Millie Bobby Brown from Netflix, which I've come very close to watching and to either meme on it or because it's good. So let's see what Drinker says. And maybe we will all be watching, but not for the reason you think.
Hey, you! Are you tired of traditional fantasy stories of heroism, bravery, and self-sacrifice, and good ultimately triumphing over evil? Are you sick of all those toxic white males presuming to rescue women from dangerous situations with—
It's been a hot minute since I've seen a toxic white male save anyone from anything, but I sure have seen him be emasculated.
without even getting affirmative consent first? Do you long for a story that finally gives—
Look, Millie worked out, right? Look, there's some, I don't really want to shit on Millie Bobby Brown. Like, I do like her, and she probably took this under the best faith. Like Dakota Johnson took it under the best faith. We'll see.
us a strong, empowered female lead who rescues herself and doesn't need a man for anything? Then congratulations, because not only have you apparently skipped over basically every movie, TV show, and video game in the last 10 years, but you're almost certainly the target audience for Damsel, a Netflix fantasy movie starring everyone's favorite serial sobber, Millie Bobby Billie Jean King James Earl Jones Brown. And I've got to admit, when I first saw the poster for this movie featuring a bored-looking Brown holding a sword that she probably struggled to even lift in the publicity shot—
It's a cool sword. It's a cool sword. It's got the eye stare down.
sporting the proud tagline, "This is not a fairy tale," I actually assumed it was some piece of AI-generated crap made by someone on Twitter for a laugh. A little bit of fun memeing on the trite and tediously predictable girl boss trope that's been crowbarred
That would have been really good if this was a whole satire film. See, missed opportunity.
into almost every piece of media that we've seen for the past decades. But how wrong I was. This is real. This is an actual real movie that functioning adults worked on. Professional screenwriters came up with this script. A legit production company greenlit and worked on it. Netflix agreed to distribute it. Quality actors like Brown, Ray Winston, Angela Bassett, and Shagram Shuri Shogri Agdashu, Admiral Chainsmoker from Star Trek Beyond, signed up to perform.
She's better in Mass Effect 3. I mean, there's some triggering things about Mass Effect 3, but yeah, as one of the Geth commanders.
For a minute, and at long last, here I was at the end of this series of unfortunate events, a humble drinker sitting down to, experience it. And truly, what an experience it was. Like, you know Willow on Disney Plus? You know how it was a terrible idea that never should have got made? You know how Disney were so embarrassed by it that they ended up deleting it from their servers and memory holing it into oblivion? Well, that's basically Damsel for you. I don't think I've ever seen a movie
Dragon
so
looks
smugly
cool.
proud of itself for doing something so completely predictable and unimaginative in my entire life. I don't think I've seen such a talented cast wasted so profoundly on a script.
I feel like I've already seen the whole movie just from the scenes that were probably in the trailer that he's showing here. They're like, oh, so she's going to come back in actual control of the dragon.
That absolutely doesn't deserve them. And I don't think I've seen so many films hammer home their message quite as clumsily and obviously as this piece of dog shit.
Are you
Lost boys.
Every last one of us.
But you're not all boys. So?
Fuck. Well, actually, maybe that last one's debatable. Put simply,
That was the Peter Pan where Wendy punches Patel Pan because it was he was a Peter, not Peter Parker, there was the other Peter Pan. Peter Pan picked effect of inclusion standards.
Damsel was 110 minutes of self-inflicted cinematic misery that I endured so that I could spare you a similar fate. So abandon all—
Yeah, that's the other thing. Thank you. I know I said in the thumbnail that booze wasn't going to help this movie, but it might have fucking helped the viewing. And I'm not drinking, right? So him him taking the hit for us is, of course, thank you for falling on this cross, drinker.
Hope ye who enter here, because the drinker's about to lay out what passes for a story. So the movie picks up in generic medieval fantasy land that probably does have a name, but I
Looks
couldn't
like
be
Rings of
arsed
Power.
trying to remember it. Anyway, the country's been terrorized by a nasty fire-breathing dragon, so the king does what kings do, leads a small force of men on horseback armed with melee weapons to take it out.
Are you dumb or something?
Seriously, guys, do you actually understand how dragons work or what? Anyway, the
He's like, nah, I played Skyrim. I know how to do this.
mission goes about as well as you'd expect, and everyone gets killed except for the king, who kneels before the dragon and begs for mercy. I wonder if this might have repercussions later in the story. Flash forward a few hundred years, and not only is human civilization still at the same exact level of technological development, but we also get to meet our main man. Sorry, main woman. Elodie. Not Melody, mind you, because this is generic fantasy land, and they're going for the classic approach of taking regular names and removing
So we just turn the M sideways to Elodie.
random letters to make entirely new ones. But Rinker, I hear you say. Get on with your plot summary so we can get this turd over with. No problem, inner monologue who keeps escaping into the real worlds. So Elodie is the daughter of a lord who presides over an impoverished town that seems to be located in the fucking North Pole by the looks of things. And instead of looking at diplomatic or economic solutions to their problems, she spends her days chopping firewood to help her people survive. Yeah.
Oh, that's why she's got the guns. The guns.
And that's really going to solve the problems of famine and bankruptcy. Nice one, Elodie. Anyway, things turn around abruptly when she's offered a marriage proposal from the queen of generic fantasy land to marry her son Henry. And in return, they'll get enough money and food to survive for the winter. Naturally, her parents think this is a good idea. Oh yeah, these are her parents, by the way. And just in case you were in any doubt that this is a modern fantasy film, you can always count on isolated medieval cultures in northern European climates to have the kind of metropolitan racial diversity that would make New York look like the Outer Hebrides. Elodie's not particularly keen on the idea, though, because she's...
I was saying, I've also heard that Angela Bassett's accent is rough. Like, think Kevin Costner and Robin Hood, where like, well, there was an attempt.
She's a strong, independent girl boss who wants to live a life of travel and adventure and doesn't want some mean, stinky man holding her back. You know, I always like it when characters living in a feudal, quasi-medieval society have the worldview and aspirations of 21st century gender studies graduates from Southern California.
They have to do it with everything. And it doesn't matter if they put it in the past or in a galaxy far, far away. And fucking Star Trek, where in the like 25th century or whatever it is, you're seeing a non-binary lecture a gay man about pronouns. It's like they are well past all of that. But again, everything has to be either the erasure of history or the rewriting of history. And then since they want to change everything, they want to change and force behaviors, it has to be echoed everywhere. And that includes our fucking medieval fantasy things right here.
Really helps you get immersed in the world. Anyway, before you know it, Elodie is off to get married, and her sister goes along for the ride as well, so that the rest of the plot can happen later. And everything seems to be going fine at first. Elodie and Henry get along pretty well, and bond over the fact that they're both shallow modern archetypes trapped in a low-budget generic feminist fantasy movie that's almost certainly going to damage the careers of every single person involved. Meanwhile,
Millie will probably be able to tank the hit. Most people just won't even watch it. Get a good Stranger Things if they ever do that, because they already look like not kids. Like they all look mid-20s now anyway. So might want to finish the Stranger Things. But yeah, she'll be able to tank the hit.
while strong, diverse female character wants to meet up with other strong female characters so they can discuss their shared hatred of men and ways that they can overthrow the patriarchy together. But strong female character isn't interested and tells her to fuck off. I wonder what she might be hiding. So the wedding ceremony goes ahead, and then Elodie's taken up into the mountains for an additional secret ceremony far away from any witnesses. Seems totally legit.
It's like a sex party. A little eyes wide shut action.
To me, but then Henry throws her off a bridge in the first genuinely entertaining scene in the entire film. See, it turns out that the dragon made a pact with toxic white male king from the intro.
As you do.
After he murdered all of her baby dragons totally unprovoked, and every few decades the royal family has to sacrifice 3 of their daughters to honor the agreement. But instead what they actually do is marry girls into the family, mix their blood in the wedding ceremony to fool the dragon into thinking they're from the royal bloodline, and sacrifice them instead. What the fuck? So you're telling me that mixing blood
Why wouldn't you just kill the dragon? Why don't you just band together with the other armies to kill the dragon?
through a tiny cut on the hand is enough to alter a person's entire profile and fool a centuries-old dragon into believing that they're from a whole different bloodline? Or that nobody ever found it slightly unusual that young women married into the royal family all mysteriously disappear at regular intervals? Fuck off, film. Anyway, so Elodie's scheduled to be a happy...
Yeah, their families never come. They have someone ghostwriting them. Yeah, they never. It's fine.
meal for the dragon, but naturally she manages to get away even though the dragon sets her leg on fire. But that's okay because then some magical bullshit slugs show up and fix everything, and the dragon gets so pissed off that it sets the entire sky on fire because, yeah, sure, that's a thing you can do apparently. So then strong female character kidnaps Elodie's sister to sacrifice to the dragon instead. See, I told you she'd be relevant to the plot later. But then...
Do they just not explain how Angela Bassett's character is black, but the daughters are white with no hint of... That's fine.
Elodie distracts the dragon and saves her life, and then fights and defeats it even when a squadron of trained knights in full battle armor couldn't do it because they weren't strong female characters. Bullshit! But because the dragon itself is female, that means that everything it did up to this point is entirely morally justifiable, including roasting and eating dozens of innocent young women. Fuck off, film. So
it was just a strong mother character.
Then Elodie and strong female dragon join forces to torch the castle and murder hundreds of innocent civilians together, and then they meet up with her sister and strong diverse female character and head home triumphant to take down the patriarchy together. And that's it. That's the plot for generic female empowerment story number 427.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds almost exactly like what I was expecting. I thought maybe a charming performance by Millie Bobby Brown might have elevated this or saved it in some way, but apparently, boy, was I wrong.
Oh yes, that's shite.
What a pointless, miserable waste of tens of millions of dollars this film was, not to mention 110 minutes of my extremely limited lifespan. Yet another ridiculous, self-important offering at the altar of the man.
I got to get a screenshot of this one too, and just because every time you hear me say the message, I'm doing it like this. This is what I mean. This is the whole shebang of all the things they would just love you to never not be able to look away from until it echoes it.
Message. Trying to appeal to an audience of frustrated, middle-aged, borderline alcoholic female fantasy buffs.
And you would know, hey, buddy. Seek help. Seriously. You got to slow down. You got to slow down. Sorry, we're all here for you.
That never actually existed in the first place. A film that acts like the last 20 years of entertainment never actually happened, and the concept of a strong, empowered female lead freeing herself from the shackles of the patriarchy, realizing her own power and taking center stage in a male-dominated genre isn't something that's already been done so many times that it's become as tired and played out as the very tropes that it laughably thinks it's subverting. Every single aspect.
Yeah, but that's the other thing is, they don't watch any of the previous movies. They don't even know sometimes they're ripping things off. That's what laughably they do these things. This happens with the Marvel spinoff on Disney Plus a lot. Like they'll do something and it coincidentally will make it look like they're leading to something from the comics. And then everyone will get all excited. Oh, Mephisto, or this is going to show up, this is going to show up. And then it happens and the showrunner's like, oh, we never read that. We didn't. No, that was just an accident. Yeah. Mephisto, who? So yeah, in cases like this, they're so young and inept, they don't even know they're ripping things off.
Aspect of its message is hammered home with all the subtlety of a rainbow-colored unicorn covered in neon lights, with its horn replaced by an 18-inch rubber dildo. None of the characters have anything even approaching real personalities. The women are all generically powerful, confident, and commanding, so much so that they're completely interchangeable. The men are either useless, weak, cowardly morons that are easily pushed around, or dumb, shallow blockheads who conveniently die as soon as it's convenient to the plot.
Well, because that follows what their rules of how they're allowed to be used anyway, little studio notes. And sure, we can't have a strong, straight white man. We can't be doing that.
You know, subverting one set of stale, restrictive tropes doesn't count for much if all you do is replace them with a new set of equally stale, restrictive tropes. I mean, apart from Brown, who gives it her all in yet another shitty production that doesn't deserve her, most of the cast seem to know the kind of shit tip that they're in and vow to bring that across with low-effort, apathetic performances that feel like they were faxed in. I mean, if you believe for 1 second that Ray Winston did this movie for anything other than an easy paycheck, then bless your heart.
But shout out to Ray Winston for speaking openly about how horrible working for Marvel was, and that during the Black Widow movie, they basically tried to make him reshoot it, and he was like, nah, recast the role. And then they threatened to sue him and made him do what he called a soul killing, basically soul destroying experience. Just watching him on Netflix in The Gentleman. He's got really good role and some actual stuff that's definitely not just a paycheck.
You sweet summer childs. Ultimately, Damsel may be the perfect example of glorious self-delusion in the world of entertainment, a movie that feels like it arrived 2 decades late to the party, bursting with ideas that weren't particularly new or interesting even back then, and so desperate to hammer you over the head with its tired, played-out message of female empowerment that it forgets to actually tell a story.
And what you just described is also most of the shite that they tried to get us to watch. So desperate to bash you over the head with an ideology and a message and the preachiness, which, yes, even it was pointed out where I said that even the people that can't put a finger on it, they don't want to call it woke, but they don't like what's going on. That's what it is. The preachiness. Stop preaching to people. Even gay, black, trans, all the things that you're preaching about, even they're tired. Most normal people, even if they might happen to relate to those things you're pushing, even they're tired of it constantly being in everything. And as you say, not subtle.
Along the way, I wasted my time on this movie, and that's time that I'll never get back. So I suggest you don't repeat my mistake.
100%.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.
Yeah, and I will go away now. And all of you, before you go away now, please go give our boy, the Critical Drinker, a sub. If you've never watched him before, if you've only watched him through me, by all means, please. Channel is well worth it. He's a legend. He is certainly, him and Gary are the best of us. Critical Drinker is almost at 2 million subs, and he is talked about in the actual movie industry. So yeah, and as for me, thank you. Be sure to like, share, and sub this video if you've done that. Thank you. If you're gonna do that, thank you.
Well, bye.